Hi guys, Squirrel here. Welcome to part 2 of a set of 3 videos where I go behind the scenes at SCS Software. In this video, I sit down and chat with Pavel Šebor, General Manager at SCS Software, about the team, the culture, the games they make, and what the future holds. If you missed part 1, all videos are linked in the video description. Hello, I am in Prague with Pavel Šebor, and we're at the brand new SCS offices. Pavel is the General Manager of SCS Software now? General Manager?
You could call it that way.
Yeah, okay. And we're just going to have a general chat about, the company, the future, the last 20 years. It is, of course, the 20-year anniversary. So first of all, congratulations on
Thank you.
20 years in business. That is pretty impressive. How do you think, the team enjoying the new office? Let's start with that. Are the team enjoying this amazing office, which I will show people?
Well, we are growing and we felt we needed a new place that supports the team the best. We want to attract the best talent. We want to keep the best talent. Prague is now very competitive when it comes to IT talent. So we tried as hard as possible to come up with something that will support the team, support the way we work. And from what we hear so far, we hope we have succeeded. The guests that we have seen and welcomed here in the office seem to agree that it's a really cool space for work. So this is our new kind of weapon in the war to make the best Sims that we can.
Yeah. How do you feel? Because obviously 20 years, you've got time to just reflect on what's happened. How do you feel about what you've achieved as a company and personally in the last 20 years?
Well, now that this anniversary has come up, it's kind of dawned on me that the 20 years has happened, because from day to day you don't notice that much, but sorting through the memories now, it's been an incredible ride with so many choices, so many junctions where we could have turned wrong, but kind of kept the correct way. It's an incredible achievement. It's an incredible achievement for the team that keeps growing, getting more experience along the way. Our first decade was actually trying to find who we are, what we do. We were taking random projects that would just keep the company alive. And it took us a while to realize that we have discovered a niche genre that we like, that we love, that is a reasonable business model for a small agile company as we were at that point in time. And actually that allowed us to grow into this quite sizable company, mid-size maybe company now, still not maybe large enough for all that the fans would like to see and see tomorrow, but that is really very much capable of great things. And this is a start of a new era for us with this great news office.
There was a video that ran last night that showed the last 20 years and the games that you'd produced, and I had a walk around, and each booth had a different game, like 2007, 2011. It's fantastic to see the games that you built before. I mean, you're best known for Euro Truck.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here. Euro Truck is a thing that put you completely on the map. But there are so many other games, as you say, that you built in the last 20 years.
We've started as a technology company. The three founding fathers, we were programmers who just wanted to do computer graphics, and if there were games involved, all the better. But we didn't know what we were getting into, and it took us some years to really discover that we cannot just do technology, that it's better to have a fully fledged team that gives you the perspective on the programmers think kind of differently than the designers and the artists. So a full team, when we assembled it, and I mean 6 or 7 people, not 100, it already you have to learn to communicate, you have to learn to understand each other across the skill sets. And initially the games that we were working on were just contracts that came our way from the publishing houses. We were just trying to make a living And sometimes these challenges that came our way were completely, somewhere else where our ambition would be at that point in time. When we were young, our heroes were people like John Carmack, people who made these shooter games or these civilization games. This was, for me, the holy grail. That was for me what I would prefer to work on initially. But all we had available to us were a small hunting game or a shark hunting game underwater. We had this engine at that point in time that was totally indoor, corridor-oriented engine. Instead, we were hunting animals in it or driving vehicles in it. So we had to adapt, adjust. We were always under pressure. And the first decade really was difficult. And then we found some sense in it. We discovered that the fans of the games we've created so far are actually very supportive and very vocal about what they want to see. And we found, what we want to do. Actually, I think the ultimate discovery was when I had my young son at that point in time sitting on my lap and just pressing the space bar on bus driver game, opening and closing the door when we were between the stations and just having so much fun. And I realized, yes, this is what I do want to make, this kind of games. Yeah. They make people happy. You don't want to, you don't have to have a AAA shooter in your CV. That's not the ultimate achievement. This is the type of game that makes people happy, and a lot of people, actually millions of people out there have been affected by our games. We've changed lives to so many people, and I hope in a positive way. So it's very satisfactory knowing that the history that we've been through is helping people. Even the shark hunting game had this educational aspect to it. We made a Sharkopedia for it. The truck games, we tried to make people educated about geography. These are skills that are relevant even in real life. So I think we can feel very proud about the achievement.
You've gone from a very small company to nearly 100 people. What's the culture like within SCS, and has it changed as you've got bigger?
Well, we still think about ourselves as a family studio because we have been a really tiny company for 10, 12 years. We were always about 10 or so people in headcount, and actually several people from the very early beginnings are still here with the studio. Our rate of losing people is very low. We usually just keep growing and keep the people around if we can. We try it as hard as possible because the experience is super valuable. Now that we have grown, once you get about 40, 50, 60 people, things obviously change. You cannot be a totally flat company anymore. You're not sitting in the same room anymore. But still, and this is the logic of the new office, still we try to be very connected, very organic in communication. It's not like there's meeting after meeting of some people who are important and some workers sitting in the den and just working blindly. We try to involve people as hard as we can. Our game design group is across the disciplines, people influencing things. So we still try to maintain the same open platform as we have been from the very start.
What's 2017 been like for SCS? Obviously you've had this huge move right in the middle of it. You've come from the office down the road to here. But what else has happened? Any other significant things?
I think, obviously we are growing to be able to. There are so many opportunities out there that we want and should pursue, and first of all, we should, give enough to our fans, to our players. Because they always are hungry for more content in the game. And this is all we are building a studio now. We are no longer a small company, we're building a studio. We are actually now ready for additional growth. We have room to spare and new people coming aboard. And at the same time, the pace of releases hasn't been increasing in the past year as we would hope to have it happen, because American Truck is just getting a DLC, Euro Truck is getting a DLC, but even that is an achievement of its own, because 3-4 years ago just at the end of Eurotruck and just looking around what we will do next. We were not even sure if Eurotruck is here for the long run. We were thinking about what we do next. Is it buses? Is it Eurotruck 3? Is it another fire and forget product to develop and release? And we realized that actually Eurotruck has grown to such quality or to such scale and scope that we can turn it into a platform that can be supported long term, that we can grow with. And now we have added another platform because Americans were so vocal about being ignored for a while. So we felt, yes, we have to make people on both continents happy. And we've added this burden initially, and it's going to be always a competition. Kind of people will be feeling it. You love Eurotruck more than you love American Truck. No, you have just released this. You love this game more than this one. We want to be equal. We want to provide equal support to both games. We want to grow both teams. We want to produce more content for both games. So the year of 2017 was actually about building the studio, getting better about our tool sets, getting better about our pipeline for production. Actually, what we have achieved on both titles, on both teams, is to get the initial overlap between productions of 2 DLCs, the map DLCs, being able to ramp down on one DLC and already have a lot of assets produced for the next DLC that's in the pipeline. So we are well on the way to having 2 map teams per project. This is a challenge for the new year, but we are now kind of, I don't want to use the word factory, but we need kind of factory for all the content that should be coming online. So we are getting better about having this formal process of being able to have multiple teams working in parallel. We are not there completely yet, but we are well on the way. And this is our now ambition, to be able to give people more, because they absolutely deserve more, they want more. And so long as they are ready to support us, we want to come and give them all that we can.
Projects. What projects are you guys currently working on?
Well, obviously we are totally dedicated to both our flagship games, both Eurotruck 2 and American Truck. The ambition is, because we have created a universe in both games, the landscape and so many miles and kilometers to cover. We had always this ambition to mix some new vehicles into the mix. People have known about coach buses being this next ambition for quite a while, and reminding us, guys, you have hinted, you have even promised this is coming. We do have some licenses now in place for buses. We have a few people here in a Skunkworks operation still paying attention to them. Just as we were raising the bar in quality on so many areas, now buses are not so much bottlenecked by the buses themselves, but by the people who populate them, or the passengers, the people who should get on and off the bus. Yeah. So we have done so many recordings or motion capture sessions for people, still finding the right balance between going totally crazy and trying to be like realistic always, or maybe taking some artistic license shortcuts that people can live with, but they maybe can simplify our life. So we are still trying to discover what would be this extra module for the coach buses. Probably it will be the part of the same universe.
World of Trucks. Let's talk about World of Trucks. What's the vision for World of Trucks? I mean, you don't need to be specific, but what's the vision? How is it trying to connect, American Truck and Eurotruck together? You've got the online contracts. What else is planned to go in there to give people a reason to drive and improve their experience?
Well, ultimately, the vision is that we have this kind of MMO game where people are truck drivers in a connected economy with multiplayer included. That's the long-term vision. We have to get there step by step. When we launched World of Trucks so many years ago, we thought we would be able to make the steps quicker than we've managed so far. But we didn't want to start on a new title abruptly after the success of Eurotruck. Obviously, we wanted to support it long term, and we had to find some means, some technical as well as business means, to transform it into something bigger, something connected with some social element to it. And obviously, we see the community and what they are trying to do with virtual trucking companies, with multiplayer. So all that should be eventually a part of our official shared platform. Whether you play this or that game, whether you have this or that DLC, doesn't matter so much. It should support it all. This player's choice, how he will or she will approach it. The initial, even the first baby steps are taking so much time. We want to have a separate gameplay from the single player game. Right now, you can take a contract, but it's actually contributing still to your single player campaign through the game. Eventually, the economies will be separate completely. The XPs and your ownership of parts or whatever will be a different game that will have much stricter rules, much like precise rules, I would say, when it comes to actual trucking. It's not going to be necessarily a game for like beginners. It's going to be the expert game, the end game, the long game for people who really enjoy the more professional aspects of trucking. Still accessible to kids or to people who don't necessarily desire to be truckers for life. But there are opportunities for this game to be not to be punishing or to be grinding, but to be more deep, to be more interesting for people who always approach us. You guys should do this or that specific detail about what this is for me, the core of trucking, and you're not covering it. We don't put some elements into the game because we think it would, kill the pacing for the average player, for the normal player who is just discovering the phenomenon, drives for a few hours and is very happy to just discover new places. And if we put too much sleep regulations or rest regulation or too much worrying about some technical aspects, these people get tired because before they experience that discovering new parts of the world is cool, or before they discover that tuning a truck is actually fun. So we have to keep the balance, and with World of Trucks we can go deeper, we dare to go deeper, and we want to get connected. We want people to be able to form companies, to compete actually through some real economy behind it. And I mean real economy, not just this gamish thing, but really people being able to show that a better better work with the gas pedal is actually saving them fuel, and in turn it makes their company more profitable compared to a competitor, being able to offer better deals to AI companies or even human-driven, human-controlled companies in the world. So that's the kind of vision. Getting there is not so easy, as we are the same team here is supporting and maintaining the games and trying something with the coach buses and trying something with motion seats, and it's a big mix of priorities that we try to kind of keep all the balls in the air and juggle. But the World of Trucks is very strategic for us because I know it from my kids. They always just play something that's connected. Single player game is not for them anymore. They want to interact with people, and we want to bring this to our truck sims as well. And the means is, and the platform that we are able to some extent develop in parallel without totally abandoning the current games, is for us the World of Trucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult trying to keep the game accessible. Like you say, the people who just want to jump in a truck and drive around and take in the view and just relax, versus the people who want it to be as realistic as they can possibly get it. I noticed you've got this full motion rig here. Was that an attempt to sort of become more realistic, to increase the immersion, or was that just a bit of fun? I mean, what was the thinking?
Yeah, well, technically, we put some support into our code a few years ago already for motion seats, but never tried our hand at it. We just put it out, and we have seen fabulous YouTube videos of people doing their own homebrew, doing their using some crazy stuff, or even you have seen even some professional experiments with it, and we get some feedback. This is working, this is not working, and we never kind of find the time to experiment ourselves until this year. And this year there was like multiple things meeting at the same point in time, same logic behind it. We have realized that we are too invisible on shows, on gaming industry shows, on truck industry shows, that in both worlds we would benefit from being recognized, from being visible. Obviously, the gaming shows are about interacting with the fans, giving them something cool, a little opportunity, giving other companies a signal that we are really serious about doing this. On the truck industry side, we need to be taken seriously. We need to be considered a part of the industry there, not just some weird game that they don't understand. So this is kind of an artifact that helps to get the message across. If a manager from some big trucking company, big trucking manufacturer passes by our booth, passes by our sim truck, and sees the line of people waiting an hour to get to drive Euro truck or American truck for a few minutes, this sends a message.
True.
For them to understand the phenomenon. It's not about me coming up and explaining, this is a game about this or that, and so this is, several things in one package for us to be more visible, to be more recognized, and maybe it's also opening up some new opportunities. As our game, there's always some demand from companies. Can you do something serious with us? Some application for teaching people to drive, whether it's trucks or even other vehicles. And usually we have to say, we're sorry, we have to be totally focused on the games. We cannot now go other directions because we'll be stealing critical people from the game side of the company and do some kind of serious application with them. We cannot grow that quickly. We cannot just pick people from the street and expect them to take our code base and push it some other direction. But this is kind of innocent kind of research into the deeper opportunities that the game benefits from as well, the core game, but it kind of teaches us a new perspective on the whole phenomenon. So it's a toy for us too, yeah. But it's a cool element for the community that we want to meet. We want to go to shows, we want to be visible, we want to maybe have a place to invite people to. Just like this week in Prague, there is a show about transportation. We are inviting people from our community here at home, from the neighborhood, to come and talk to us. We've been to France, we've been to Spain, and we have been to places. So we're going to do the same next year and maybe more. We want to be at the big Hanover trucking show, the biggest European one, to talk to industry and have these motion seats, having them behind us, talking to them. It's a very different scenario than us coming with a backpack and say, well, we are SCS Software, do you know us? No. We want to be known, we want to be recognized.
No, what I like is the fact that it turns up on the back of a trailer. Because when was it Gamescom?
Yeah.
It was outside at Gamescom, it was a lovely day. And this thing is sat inside of a trailer, which is a dedicated, and you had a little kitchen bit at the front as well, didn't you? So this whole meeting room and rig and queue and platform to get up to it on the back of a truck.
We consider it very smart to actually combine it into a trailer, into a container, shipping container, sitting on a flatbed trailer and being pulled by a tractor. And the idea is that once you build this, you just go to a show of this or that type, push a button, and you are ready for the show. You don't have to set up a booth from plaster walls or some stuff. This is really on topic. It's really the theme that this is the game and what it is about. A truck comes and delivers.
Yeah, it definitely gets attention. Your games so far, I think, if I'm right in saying, have been on PC. I have a lot of fans who keep asking, is there any possibility in the future that there'll be a console version of this? Is that something you've thought of? Is it you're working on? What is the problem with creating a console version?
Well, this is a complicated issue. It's just many topics that we here try to sort out from the business perspective and from making people out there happy who just their PC may be aging, but their PS4 is shiny and new.
Yeah.
It would absolutely make sense to have a console version of the game. Actually, we have been talking to Microsoft and Sony about this. They have approached us. They feel that it makes sense for them to have this kind of genre on the platform. We even have a bunch of dev kits here in the company, so it's not a lost cause, just to start with this topic. But just as with many things, it actually comes down to focus, development bandwidth capacity, to do it right, not to do it like half-baked way. And while this opportunity is out there to get there, and we are taking the steps to get there, but we need to adapt and adjust. We have this engine that's been in constant evolution over 2 decades. We are not dropping it because it allows for things that other engines really cannot do at the moment, like this huge scale of the world. Our tool set and tool chain is unique for building the world. So we need to teach this engine new tricks to be more friendly to multi-core setups, to be better at parallel rendering for the rear view mirrors. So a lot of the must-have to do elements in the engine development are happening that will benefit both current PC, Linux, Mac code base and customer base, but that will ultimately be necessary for the console versions to happen. That work is happening, but really grabbing a bunch of senior coders and putting them into a room, locking them up, and you come up half a year later with the console version, that would endanger our bread and butter development, our business, with making our current customer base happy, because we would be losing momentum on some things that are important for the core games. Any new DLC or any new element that we add, any new update that we add to the game a couple of times a year means that the coders here are doing something that's important for the standard version of the game. So if we did it with a porting studio, we could always go out and farm it out to some porting house or porting specialist. But the trouble is that we would have happy release days maybe and satisfy people with a snapshot of what the PC game was a couple of months ago when we supplied the code base and the art assets to that porting team. But it would be a very difficult proposition for us to maintain this change code base, to maintain these change assets and update them in sync with the PC version, which would be moving forward at some pace. And then one or the other half of our players would be unhappy that they are not like first-class customers. They are not treated fairly. So the thing is, we have to absolutely do it from the same code base inside the company to be able to properly maintain it like forever on all the platforms where it happens, and to get there, to get enough coders, to get enough experience, to get enough features under control, like having separated AI code into a new, having the ability to run it on a separate core, separate thread on a CPU, or having the same for the physics, or having the same for the graphics. It all takes time for us to teach the engine these new tricks. We'll get there eventually, but it's not something that we are ready to announce for now. We are just as with other elements, we are trying to get there as fast as we can without hurting the other areas too badly.
In terms of the map expansion, how do you see the world expanding in each game? Because in ATS, obviously you started in the West. Are you heading east? Are you heading north? Are you going to come in from a different state? And how do you decide which states you're going to do next?
Mm-hmm. Well, we had to start somewhere, because with the scope, with the scale ratio of our world, we couldn't do it with one go. Obviously, it's a ton of work. So we picked West Coast initially, and it's dawned on us that there's so much work ahead as we were just getting through California and Nevada, that we'll have to figure it out as we go. The thinking is that we will make new expansions connected to the old ones. We don't want to randomly jump around. With Europe, it was easier because we started at the core of the continent and can expand to the corners, sort of. With the American Truck Simulator, we have started at one coast, and obviously one of the priorities is getting to the other coast. The other priority is sweeping across the continent as a whole, ultimately. From technical point of view, if we succeed and manage to have multiple teams working in parallel on the map, which is the ambition, they shouldn't and cannot work next to each other. They have to work in multiple directions so that they don't step on each other's toes. So we're going north next with American Truck Simulator. At the same time, we are looking east already. So things are under progress. With Euro Truck Simulator, the same technical limitations apply. So the next DLC, which is also under production, we have teams already producing lots of assets for both the next American and European expansions. They have to be, looking at multiple directions at the same time. They cannot do two things next to each other. So after the current Italian expansion, we are working on a new one. I'm not yet hinting which direction we are working, but actually so much stuff is already built for it that the asset team is already completing the list of the next DLC after that. So there's already quite successful overlap. The factory that's producing the assets is very productive now, and we'll be going into multiple directions really.
Pavel, thank you for inviting me to your wonderful new office. Congratulations on 20 years.
Welcome. Thank you.
And yeah, thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to talk to me and the fans.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for coming to Prague again. It's great to have a person of your magnitude supporting our game. I know that you are treating us really, you're not taking any, how to put it. I think your coverage of the sim genre is very fair, and when we do some mistake, you completely reveal it and admit it. And we take you as many of the vocal fans as a really good guidance, voice of guidance for us to correct any stupid ideas that we may have from time to time. So it was really a pleasure to be able to talk to you and the other guys from the media that were yesterday at the celebration. And we will really take this feedback seriously and use it the best way we can.
Wonderful.
For the future.
Well, best of luck and keep creating those great games.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching part 2 of this 3-part look at SCS Software. Don't miss part 3, where I speak to the talented individuals who create the games we play.